Hi, and welcome to this episode of The Complete Picture. Today we're going to be talking about custom sort orders in Lightroom. Now, you may not think this is a big deal, but sometimes it appears that you can make a custom sort order and sometimes you can't. Well, there's actually logic and rules behind when you can and can't. So let's figure those out, and then in the future when you try to make your sort orders, they'll work as expected. All right, I'm going to go ahead and select this folder, this cloud folder, and I've decided that I want to reposition or create a custom sort order. I want to take these last 3 images and drag them so that they're at the top or so that they appear first. It's no problem. We can do that. But now let's move up 1 folder and let's try to do the same thing. Let's try to grab 3 images and try to move them around. And you'll notice that I can't. Or can I? The reason that you can't right now is because underneath the library menu, by default, the feature to include photos from subfolders is turned on. If we uncheck that, then even though I have a subfolder within this San Francisco folder, I can grab my images and move them around and change the custom sort order. So all I had to do was just turn off that option under Library, the Include Photos from Subfolders. I'm going to go ahead and leave that off. What it basically does is, with the feature on, it gives me a flattened view so that I can see my San Francisco files and the cloud files within the subfolder. When I turn it off, I can only see the San Francisco images. If I scroll down here, there are no cloud images to be found. They're only visible in the cloud folder. So returning back to the San Francisco folder, you can see down here at the very bottom my sort order is changed to user order. I can always change that back and sort on something else. So for example, if I wanted to see these sorted by file name or capture time, I can choose that. It will resort them. But if I wanted to go back to my custom sort order, all I need to do is choose user order from the bottom of the list. All right, so that's the first scenario. Now, a second scenario where you might want to create your own custom sort order or your user order would be using a collection. So there are 2 different kinds of collections in Lightroom. There are your smart collections, which are created automatically or are based on search criteria that you set up. And then every time you click on them, the entire library is searched and it finds your smart collection. The other kind of collection is a user collection where you actually get to drag and drop multiple images from multiple sources into a collection. Of course, the beauty of collections in Lightroom is that they're just virtual. So we're not actually dragging and making multiple copies of your files. We're not taking up extra hard drive space or anything. And multiple files, or the same file, can be in multiple different collections. So these 2 different kinds of collections. We'll look at the smart collection first. This is a smart collection. I can tell because there's a little collection icon right there. This little gear means that it's a smart collection. And if I double click on that, we can see the parameters or the search criteria that I've entered. So I've told Lightroom to look through my entire library, and if there is an image in there that has a rating that's greater than or equal to 1 star and has the keyword golden and has the keyword gate, to show that to me. And these are the results. The only problem with a smart collection is that if I try to drag to reorder it and create a custom sort order, I can't do it. But what I could do is I could quickly select all of these images, and then down here in the collections area, I'll click the plus icon. We'll create just a regular collection, not a smart collection, but a regular collection. And we will call this Golden Gate Bridge, but instead of collection, let's call it sequence. Because I'm actually able to create my custom sort order or sequence the images in this collection. I'll include my selected photos and click Create. So now that this is a user-defined collection as opposed to a smart collection based on search criteria, it's very easy for me to select a single image or select multiple images and drag them in order to change the order in which they appear. Excellent. Now, let's go back to that folder, that San Francisco folder, and let's just select maybe this sequence of images that are all of the Golden Gate Bridge. they're all nice, but I probably have one that's better than the other ones. So what I'd like to do to kind of save space in my grid is to stack these files. So let's talk about stacking and changing the sort order in a stack. In order to stack these, I like to think of it as grouping because the keyboard shortcut is Command or Control G. Once I group them together, it's like putting them on a light table stacked up. They're one on top of each other. If I want to see them spread out or expanded, all I need to do is click on the little number. This number tells me there's 7 images in the stack. If I click on it, it will expand it. Now, if I like this image the best, I could just drag it to reorder it, or I can use a little keyboard shortcut, which is Shift left bracket will move it up a step in the stack, or Shift right bracket will move it down in the stack. Let's actually move this one to the top of the stack. That way, when I close the stack by just clicking on the number there, that one is the one that I see on top. So stacking is very convenient, and you can always use the keyboard shortcut, or if you like a different image, you can just click and drag it in order to create a custom sort order. One other very important area that I want to tell you about is in the slideshow print or web modules. In any of the output modules in Lightroom, if you show your film strip down here at the bottom, you can click on any image and then change the stacking order down here so that if you forget to sequence your images before you go to create your slideshow or before you decide to print your contact sheets or make your web photo galleries, you can go ahead and do that by just dragging and dropping and creating your custom sort order right down here in the film strip. Excellent. Let's return back to the library. I just want to point out a few areas that I don't want you to stumble upon, so let's take a look at those. Up here in all photographs, if you have all of your photographs selected, you're not going to be able to use the custom sort order because each one of these photos are in a different subfolder, and so it's just not going to work. So don't bother trying that. Also, if you have multiple folders selected, we're not quite sure how you would want to create a custom sort order because what would happen then if you just went back to looking at one folder. So you can't create a custom sort order then either. And one last area that might actually surprise you, if you're looking at a folder and you go ahead and decide that you want to filter that, for example, maybe you just want to see 1 star, even when you've got that filter on, you can go ahead and create a custom sort order. Excellent. So now I think you've got a better idea of kind of the logic behind the custom sort orders as well as the rules that you kind of have to follow when you are trying to get a different sequence of images. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm Julieanne Kost. Join me again next time on my next episode of The Complete Picture.